Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeehaw.
This
We're gonna have
meeting
a
is
full
being
house today.
recorded.
That's so fun. Welcome, everybody. Everybody get your notebooks ready. Get your delicious drink of something. What you got in your mug today? I got coffee with chaga, coconut milk, some butter, and honey.
I got water, plain water.
Way to go. While you're facilitating, you gotta stay
It
calm.
works.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for the party. That's what I'm here for. Thanks everybody for making time today. Where are you on planet Earth? Share in the chat. I know we're going to be spread out all over the globe, which is always exciting. And okay, you press record. Perfect. Houston, Buffalo. Welcome, welcome. San Francisco, Uganda, Oregon. Beautiful. I'm on Salt Spring Island, British Columbia. We got City Island in New York City, Augsburg, Germany. So fun. Isn't it amazing that we can do this? Berkeley,
Totally.
California. Csaba, where are you based?
I'm in Budapest, Hungary,
That's right. Amazing.
Central Europe.
And what
Yeah.
time you got there?
It's 6:30 p.m.
Beautiful. Dinner time.
Yeah, almost.
Awesome. Well, let's get this going. I'm gonna introduce the theme of the day. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Bradley Morris from Magic Media, and I have been touring a signature workshop called Thriving in Business Without Social Media for the last couple years, and this has grown my email list by over 5,000 people by having hosts like Csaba host my workshop for his audience, and then I go tour this exact same workshop virtually again and again and again. And as a result of doing this, I've had the opportunity of hosting a lot of really amazing workshops for like the one we're doing today. And so we met probably a couple months ago for our first conversation. And what's beautiful about exchanging signature workshops is we can fill in gaps for each other on things that we might not necessarily be specialized in, or we may not have the same perspective, or we may have complementary tools or skill sets that we can offer each other's audiences. And so, if all of you out there don't have a signature workshop, I highly recommend it. It is the easiest way that you can grow your audience and do the thing that you love doing, which is probably teaching and changing lives for the better. And so, I was really excited about today's workshop because it's the theme of how do you really nurture those relationships as people join your email list? So that's a really good question that we should all have an answer to. And I spent a bunch of time on my nurture sequence a couple years ago, and I actually deleted my nurture sequence probably 6 months ago. So I don't have a nurture sequence. If you join my email list, you get my newsletter, and that is that. You get whatever is happening in real time. So I was like, I need to brush up and get re-inspired about a nurture sequence. And so today we have you, Csaba. You're going to lead the way and you're going to show us some inspiring new philosophies and approaches to how do we build real, authentic, genuine, trustworthy relationships with the people that are coming into our orbit. So thanks so much for taking time, everybody. And thank you, Csaba, for leading the way. It's all yours.
Yeah, so thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here. And it's nice to see so many people already joining here. 41, that's amazing. And it's especially amazing to know that you're also going to learn a lot from this, Bradley. So really quick intro about me. I'm a lead activation and conversion expert. I've also been a direct response copywriter, worked freelance, helped a lot of people launch info products and courses. Then I started my own list. I started creating info products. Something that put me on the map, so to say, was breaking down 100 proven sales letters in 100 days and putting everything on my YouTube channel. So this is, to be fair, mostly for copywriting or messaging or persuasion psychology nerds. But that got me started in, starting my own business, my list, creating my own products and stuff like that. And early on, of course, I realized that I needed to have a welcome sequence, but not just any welcome sequence, but something that activates people, that builds engagement quickly, that doesn't annoy the wrong people or people who aren't ready to do something yet. There are a lot of sequences that are super aggressive and don't really give that much value. They try to like brute force you to buy something within 7 days. And then if nothing happens, you're kind of dead to that person. And I hated that approach. At the same time, I was a big fan of like emailing frequently, because when you have something valuable to share, then you should share it, but doing it in a more elegant way. So that brought me on this journey, lots of trial and error, and that allowed me to develop this rapid lead activation framework that I'm going to share with you today. So I want to start by sharing my screen and showing you some stats. So let's just jump right into the action. And these are the results for a campaign I recently did. The traffic for this campaign was JV, so joint ventureship, partners promoting my stuff. And it was a different lead magnet, not the one that you subscribe to. But as you can see, like really high open rates and click-through rates across the board. The first email, almost 90% open rate, almost 50% click-through rate. Second email, also 85% open rate, 42% click-through rate. And as you can see, if I keep scrolling, 60 plus, 60, 50 plus, it stabilizes between 50 and 60 consistently, which is, considering the fact that I was sending out emails daily, that's pretty cool, right? And it wasn't for just like 10 people or 50 people, it was close to 600 people. And the coolest thing about this is if I keep scrolling down, so this was basically the welcome sequence, the rapid lead activation sequence in my case that you see on this page. But after that, people started getting other automated sequences. They started getting a pre-launch sequence for an evergreen funnel that I have. And as you can see, open rates and click-through rates were still super high all throughout the board. And it never really went below like 40%, mostly 45% plus. Not that many unsubscribes, as you can see. And the coolest thing is that when I started promoting the course in this funnel, open rates and click-through rates were still really healthy, not that many unsubscribed. And even the downsell sequence that went out after that was very, very successful. And judging by the amount of unsubscribes, and also this doesn't even account for the fact that I got loads and loads and loads of responses from people, double digit, close to 50% in some cases, if I total the campaign. But the reason why this happened is that I used this rapid lead activation framework early on for the first few emails, for the first 5 emails, which basically set the stage for them being interested in whatever I had to say moving forward. And that was really, really powerful. And if I just pull this up, the Global Direct Marketing Association, it's a stat from them. And as you can see, these are the average open rates and average click-through rates for most industries in the Canada-US region. So as you can see, in most cases, in most niches, and this was in 2022 when like ChatGPT wasn't around and open rates were actually higher. Now it's open rates have dropped a little bit. But as you can see, there's a big, big, big difference there. And sure, when you have a small list, sub 100 people or something, you have high open rates and click-through rates because you only have people on the list who really care about you, or like colleagues or people who've signed up for your social media who've been following you for a while. But if you start growing the list, if you start getting thousands of people, your open rates are going to stabilize somewhere. But in most cases, it's definitely not the numbers that you see here. So, okay, what if this is a fluke? What if I got lucky or something like that? Well, this is another set of stats pulled directly from my ConvertKit account, now rebranded as Kit. But as you can see, same thing, like 80+% open rate, 66% click-through rate. Like imagine if your people consistently and reliably downloaded your lead magnet at 60%. That's pretty cool because then that means they're gonna take a look at it, which means they're gonna get deeper into your world, which means you're gonna like hook them early and they're gonna realize that you have something to say and they're not gonna make a habit out of ignoring your emails. In fact, quite the opposite. They're gonna make a habit of actually focusing on your email. So same thing, as you can see, high open rates above 50 in most cases and high click-through rates as well. And this one is a bigger cohort. It's like close to 2,000 people. So how can we replicate this strategy and how can you also replicate this strategy? Well, again, as I said, this is the rapid lead activator framework that I've developed. And the idea comes from a gentleman, a legendary copywriter called Gary Halbert. And he was talking about so-called imprinting your reader onto you. And this basically means building a genuine bonding relationship with your readers in your copy and in your messaging, because the more people feel like they can emotionally relate to you, and the more they know, like, and most importantly, trust you, the more they'll get deeper into your world, the more they'll become loyal fans or raving fans, and the more they'll become great clients and customers. Not just people who you like work really hard to close and then they're not going to be the right fit clients, but people who really actually value your work and they are emotionally deeply committed to learning from you. There's a big difference there. So the concept goes back to biology. The concept of imprinting goes back to evolutionary biology. And think of it like these little ducklings. When they hatch, the first thing they see is the mama duck or whatever they encounter first. In some cases, it was a human, and they so-called imprint onto that person or thing, which means they're gonna keep following that person or thing, and they're gonna just you know be loyal little ducklings. And this is the same concept that we want to apply in this case as well. So there are 7 keys to success with this model. First of all, you want to activate people. That's why it's called the rapid lead activator. You want to move them to take action, to do something, because if they don't, again, they'll form the habit of not doing that much. You want to facilitate bonding with them. You want to move them forward the so-called value journey. Also, eventually, you want to start shifting their beliefs. And this is a more advanced concept that we're going to talk a little bit about, not too much, but the core idea is that people have their own pre-existing beliefs when it comes to growing a business, when it comes to health, when it comes to why your solution wouldn't work for them. And many of these are false beliefs. Maybe they've been burned in the past before. Maybe they have certain things that prevent them from actually having an open mind to give your solution a try, for example. And email marketing is a great way to actually shift these beliefs gradually and establish a chain of new beliefs so that they realize that your solution is different and superior compared to anything else they've seen before. Also, another key thing with this method is you want to pull out the so-called 5-star prospects from all the leads that are joining your world, because most people, they're not going to be the best leads, whatever you do, right? But there's always going to be a certain percentage of people, between like 5% and 20%, who are the so-called 5-star prospects. And they're the best people, the potential whale clients, the people who are willing to talk to you, willing to engage in a dialogue. They know what they want. Eventually, they realize that they're open to hearing more from you. And you want to pull them out without annoying others who are more like the silent reader types. And we're going to talk about why most people, 5-6 times as many people, will convert after like 3 months. So 3 months to 24 months of them joining your list. So most people are not going to convert on the front end. So why try to brute force them aggressively to convert right away when instead we can build this genuine emotional connection with them, this bonding relationship, and then eventually when the time is right for them, you're not going to have any competition. While also pulling out those so-called 5-star prospects early on so that you can offset your ad costs if you're running paid ads, or you can recoup some of your investment, or just ensure that you still have cash flow because ultimately you're running a business. So again, why should we do this? Why shouldn't we just try to convert them really hard and then not do anything with them? Well, this is an interesting study that was done by the gentleman called Dean Jackson, and later on was presented by Ross O'Loughlin. And this study basically looked at a few thousand leads, a few thousand people who requested a lead magnet, a little booklet in this case, regarding solving a specific problem that they wanted to solve, right? That's the case in most funnels. People sign up for your lead magnet because they want to solve a problem. Well, what this study found is that over the course of 2 years of following up with these people, 50% of them never did anything. Like they just defaulted to doing nothing. They never bought anything. They were passive. It is what it is, right? And out of the remaining 50%, 15%, so 7.5 in total, bought something within the first 0 to 3 months of joining your list. And think about that for a second. That's up to 90 days only 15% of your total customers bought something, or your total would-be clients bought something within the first 90 days. And yet I routinely see people who give up after like a week of promoting them something. This was important, this 15%, to again manage cash flow and to make sure that you have means to generate more leads. But the big money, the back end revenue, some people call it that, came later on, so 85%. And this came between 4 months and 24 months of them signing up to your list. So the two big conclusions from this is that, first of all, playing for the long game is definitely worth it, and consistent email nurturing is definitely worth it, because you have a lot of like gold that you could eventually extract from your list while also building that relationship with people. But the second thing is, it's not necessarily like, it's if we don't have brute force things in the front end, then why should we give them sequences that try to do that? Instead, let's give them sequences that focus on relationship building. And I think this is even more important nowadays in the age of AI, when there's a lot of BS all around, and there's a lot of like fake content, AI generated content everywhere. People are starting to get more annoyed by it, and they are craving that personal connection. And like, maybe you're watching this, if you responded to like my conversation starter email, for example, when you sign up for this workshop, or when you sent an email regarding my story email, I responded in most cases, 90% of cases I responded, and that feels immediately different versus just being one more statistic in a CRM, right? So if you can use this strategy and build a relationship with the people who enter your world, then it's going to make a huge difference. So another key aspect that makes this work is the psychology behind why we have funnels, or a persuasion psychology. And this particular model was developed by a rockstar marketer called Todd Brown. And it was originally applied to long form sales letters and like webinars and like launch funnels. But we can also apply it to email marketing as well. So what this really means is that when people enter your world, they get hooked by your big idea. This could be a lead magnet, this could be a freebie, this could be anything that basically gets them into your world, right? And what happens usually is that you give them a little tease on the landing page, like, hey, here's what you're going to learn from this free workshop, or from this this book, or from this free lead magnet, or from this workshop, the signature workshop as well, right? You hook them with the big idea on the landing page. There's some bullets which build engagement, and they pique people's curiosity. So that would be considered a campaign lead. And then when people sign up, all the content that they get is basically, you can look at it as kind of like a campaign argument. You're trying to make an argument for why your particular solution, in this case, your lead generation solution, is better and different and superior compared to anything else they've seen before. Why a signature workshop is much better than a simple, I don't know, PDF or something like that. And in your emails, you're shifting beliefs, you're deconstructing some of their false beliefs regarding, oh, I can't do this workshop because it would take me 3 months to develop something like this. Well, I'm sure that somewhere in his marketing, Bradley has something that debunks this and says that actually it's not really that super complicated to create this workshop, and you can replicate it, and you create it once, and then it becomes an evergreen asset, right? And you also prove that this works. You show case studies, and you basically try to again shift their beliefs into realizing that, wow, okay, this is a genuinely new solution that I haven't seen before. And I can do it without something that I hate, which is social media. I hate social media, so perfect. And when they realize perfect, that's when the campaign thesis happens. Some people call it the one buying belief. And that's when you introduce them to the offer itself. So it doesn't matter whether this is like a multi-email campaign, whether it's a long form sales page, a video sales letter, a webinar funnel, a launch campaign. Usually it's always the same. You hook them with a big idea, you build more engagement and desire in them, you make your case, and when they believe that this is different and superior compared to anything else I've seen before, and it's the key to my number desire, my number one desire, then you give them the offer, and suddenly the selling isn't really that complicated anymore. The same can be applied if you are using marketing and selling at the same time in your business. So your marketing establishes the one buying belief, and then you hand that person off to a salesperson, or that's when they book a call, and then suddenly it's infinitely easier to close them if you're using something like that. So is this making sense so far? By the way, leave a comment if it does, because sometimes I get carried on and I just talk too much. I'm just super passionate about this thing. So yeah, Joshua says, heck yeah, solid. Also, if you have some questions, then leave it in the chat. And at the end, if you're gonna have some time, then we can answer those questions, right? Or if Bradley, if you see that something is consistently coming up, people are lost, they're confused, then let me know. I'll stop and I'll address it so that we all get a lot of value
Sounds
from
great.
this.
And
Awesome.
if anybody has questions, I'll be filing them away for the end.
Cool. So also consider the fact that despite you starting to generate leads and people signing up for your list, they sign up for your lead magnet, not necessarily because they actively want to hear from you. You have to earn that privilege, right? They didn't subscribe to hear from you in most cases, but because your lead magnet, the big idea behind your lead magnet, was interesting to them for like a few seconds, right? So just because we have their permission doesn't mean that they want to hear more. So at this stage, you're just one more email marketer, and this rapid lead activation sequence is really good at getting from stranger to I welcome you in your inbox. So this is how the formula looks like. The first email is a welcome email, which basically delivers on your promise and sets expectations. The second one is a conversation starter email, which identifies 5-star prospects, and it starts conversations, first of all, to learn more about the people, but also to potentially lead into other high ticket offers and productive conversations. Then there's the origin story, which is really strong in facilitating bonding and emotional rapport. The fourth email is called Credo, and we're going to talk about what this is, but the essence is that this communicates what you stand for and what you stand against. Because yes, this is going to drive away some people, but they wouldn't be your ideal fit prospects anyway, but it will resonate with the right people even more strongly. And the fifth email is the reason why you're different and superior. Think of this like your special sauce, unique mechanism, unique selling proposition email. There are different names to a very similar model. And if you look at this, it's not really that groundbreaking because you've probably seen a version of this before, but after testing it for years in my own business, as well as with a lot of private clients that I work with and their funnels, and gathering a lot of data about this seems to be the sequence of emails and the structure of this sequence that is working the best so far that I've seen. So let's build a rapid lead activator together for you, right? Let's start with the welcome email. And remember that the objectives we're trying to accomplish here is to, first of all, make a great first impression and set expectations up front, and also to try to get those people to do something. And there will be multiple ways of doing that. I'm going to show you an example soon. But this is the most important email in the sequence, because if people don't really engage with this, chances are that they are going to be way less active for the subsequent email. So first impressions matter. We all know this. And if they actually click on the link in this email, that's gonna be an amazing signal for the mailbox providers, Google and Yahoo and Outlook and all those. They're gonna notice that, okay, this is a new email coming from a new sender to your inbox, and you actually clicked on it, you responded to it. Okay, I'm gonna move it into the primary tab with increased likelihood, which is really important. So a few potential call to actions that you could put here. Always have a call to action in your emails, even if you're not selling something, at least so for them to reply, click on something, check out something, watch a content piece, whatever. Always have a call to action. And I'm going to show you a real world example how it looks like. Not in the, like, this is a slide, another version of the same email that you got when you actually subscribed to this workshop. But it's very, very, very close. So so as you can see, I just welcome them. You may or may not want to use a GIF or an image. It's up to you. I experimented with this because it just, pops and it gets people's attention. But at the same time, it might lower your email deliverability. You got to be careful with this. But what happens here is that basically, hey, here's the thing that you requested. Really important that you give it to them upfront, because otherwise they will feel cheated, and that's not a good way to start a relationship. So definitely deliver on your promise. And then basically what I do is have like a one paragraph introduction. Hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's how we're different. We avoid the typical like BS marketing tactics that others do. Instead, we focus on elegant conversational marketing. Here's what you can expect from me if you decide to continue reading my emails. And I even set expectations saying that, look, I want you to feel like you're in the right place. I'm going to email you often. And if you don't like it, unsubscribe now. It's totally fine. I don't want to annoy you. And I also am going to like promote paid stuff from time to time because I believe that these can help you. But again, I'm also going to send you a bunch of free stuff as well, which I believe is better than many other people's paid stuff, right? So this is the deal. Does it sound fair? If yes, then awesome. If no, feel free to unsubscribe, no problem. But if you do remind, and this is more of an advanced strategy that you can also mimic, this works really well, by the way. If you do decide to continue, then here's another surprise bonus that I haven't even mentioned. There's this thing called the subscriber hub that you just unlocked, which includes all these other goodies. And the only thing, you have access to it for free, but you have to click on this thing to activate your account, right? I want to give them, this is really genuinely valuable stuff, right? Some of these things are included in my some of my paid training. So I want to make sure that only people get access who do at least one click here. But also it's a very appealing, little next step bonus, because people love these types of bonuses. So this is call to action number 1. Call to action number 2 is that, hey, and it's like, it goes hand in hand with the clickable call to action. Since the email for this that sends you the login link is going to come from another email address, not from me. So it's going to come from Tricard, which is my learning management system. Please hit reply and respond to this email so that I know you successfully got access. Sometimes automations break. Sometimes, those emails are not delivered. I really want you to get this. So click there and let me know if you got it. And I also give them like specific things to say, because otherwise, in a lot of times, people default to nothing. Like, oh, what should I say? Yeah, I want to reply, but what should I say? I have no idea. Well, just say got it, or sure, or even like something funny. Yo, man. That's it. And then you could also add another call to action if you want. This is just the whitelisting video. I made a simple, quick 40-second video showing people how to whitelist my emails, how to move it in the primary inbox, which again sets things up so that all the other upcoming emails are much more likely to land in the primary inbox versus the promotions tab, right? Really, really important. You don't necessarily have to use all 3 of these call to actions, but in this particular case, I wanted to use it. By the way, when you subscribe to this workshop, you also got access to my book, The Rapid Lead Activator. And I don't want to spend much time on this here because, like it's, we have limited time for this, but you're going to find a fill in the blanks word for word script version of this first email. So it's going to look like this, but a bunch of things are going to be like blue. In fact, I can show you. I just haven't opened that up because I forgot, but yeah, there you go. So this is like, and there's also like a Google Docs version of this in the book. There's a link there. So as you can see, like you cannot really go more fill in the blanks than this. It's like it has the same structure. You just fill in whatever you have. Hey, put your lead magnet name here, put your name here, put your target market here, put a bullet here about what you cover, a benefit here, whatever. So yeah, this is really helpful for most people, and hopefully it's gonna make sure that you also implement this, and then you're going to have a kick-ass little welcome email. So that's email number one. Email number two is a so-called conversation starter email. Oh, by the way, do we have any questions regarding that welcome email? I'm happy to answer that before we move forward.
I saw one from Katie asking about the length of the email. I've loved extremely short emails, and sometimes long stories are interesting too. This looks long. What about trying it with short one for people with such short attention spans?
Yes, this is a question that often comes up, and it reminds me of a quote that the legendary marketer Dan Kennedy said when also people ask them like, "Hey, like, do you know that people have less of an attention span nowadays than goldfish?" And his response was like, "Well, do you want to sell to goldfish, or do you want people who are actually more committed?" What I found based on data, because there are a lot of hypotheses regarding this, but the cold hard data proves that it's better to have a longer form email in the beginning because you can give them more stuff. And yes, you can go short form as well, but think about all the opportunity cost that gives you. You're not going to be able to like people who don't like reading it are not going to read it anyway, or they're going to like mostly ignore it anyway. But the other people who are more interested, think of all the opportunities that you can give them. You can give them a brief intro and like check out any sales training. In most cases, one of the first things that you have to cover, preemptively answer as an objection, is who are you and why should I trust you? Then you can set expectations. You can build some desire with these bullets. You can also disqualify some of the wrong people so that they're not going to feel like they're annoyed here. And you can also give them a bonus and give them that call to action versions. So all in all, you can try, but your click-through rate is going to be way lower. And that's going to mean that your subsequent emails will also have worse stats, and overall your sales are going to be lower. So that's my answer to that. And I know that a lot of people don't like the answer, but the data definitely proves this.
And quick question from Anthony here. Does the second call to action download put this subscriber in another group in your email list that you email to more frequently?
No, you can do that if you want. I don't think it's worth complicating it at this stage. I do a lot of ninja stuff with this. Like I start other automations that automatically score people, and then they're gonna get different email frequency eventually. But at this point, not really, not really. But you can do it if you want it. But it's strategically much more important to have like a version 1 version of this implemented and working for you. Any other questions?
That's it for right now.
Cool. Awesome. So conversation starter email. The objectives that we're trying to accomplish here is to further boost engagement, to identify the potential 5-star prospects, and to start conversations that, first of all, give you more data. And I love doing this, by the way. Some people think that you should outsource your customer support like this, or like your communication with your new leads. I definitely don't believe that's the right thing to do unless you like really hate it. I don't, and I learned so many things from my new subscribers, and it constantly keeps me sharp, and it constantly gives me new ideas for emails that I could write, as well as new ideas for potential offers that I could make. So this one is a short email. So we started with a longer one, a slightly longer one. This one is a short email, and it uses the so-called SPEAR methodology, which stands for short, personal, expecting, and response. This is basically an open-ended question, and how it looks like is like this. So the subject line is name. Hey, I see you recently signed up. Welcome on board. What kind of program course to offer? Now, this could be anything. It doesn't have to be this specific question. The beauty of the question is that you ask for something that naturally complements a thing that's on their mind. So for example, if they're a coach or freelancer, so if people who are signing up to your list are coaches or like freelancers, then a great question to ask would be, what kind of clients do you work with? So the idea is to just start a conversation. It's not there to like try to sell them something, just to like discover the first star in the 5-star prospect checklist, which is willing to engage in a dialogue. If they respond, then you can respond back. You can ask questions. You can qualify them eventually if you have a process for it. You can get them on a sales call. You can recommend something. You can just, have a few back and forth sessions. It's up to you. If it's
I
business
just want to
owners,
say I love this. This is such a beautiful, simple technique. And as somebody who doesn't do social media but has time for conversational emails, this is just such a beautiful, simple way to engage with new people coming in. Just wanted to add to that.
yeah. So it doesn't look like marketing email. So the sender name should be your name, not your company name or anything like that. Just your name, subject line, their first name, or just something like hey, something like that. Hey, it sounds natural, like you just met someone in a bar and you just said, hey, so like, what do you do? What kind of business are you in? What kind of courses do you sell? And out of the 160 something plus people who registered for this workshop, I think there were like 40 plus people who actually responded to this. So quite a high, like 25% or something. Not bad for one simple email like this. So this is super easy to implement. Definitely do it because it's very powerful. Now, what's a five-star prospect? I've been mentioning this multiple times. First of all, they're willing to engage in a dialogue. They're friendly and cooperative. They know what they want. They know when they want it, and they want our help. You can't really warm people up to be a five-star prospect. Either they are or they're not. But what you do with your emails or with your conversational marketing is you discover whether all five of these apply to them. Because maybe they reply to your welcome email or your conversation starter, and they're friendly and cooperative, but they don't know what they want. Or they know that they want to start a business, but they don't feel like it's the right time for them, or like they're a entrepreneur or something like that. Or they just say like, oh, I love your stuff, really cool. I do this, and I recently joined someone else's mastermind group or coaching program, which means they probably don't want our help right now. But cool, like we still had a brief and pleasurable exchange there. So the third email. Any questions regarding the second one, regarding conversation starter email?
No questions, but
Are you actually
people.
Batman? I gave away my alibi.
Oh
That's not
my.
good. Yeah, yeah. But now crystal clear, tons of value as always. Awesome to hear that. Cool. So why did I choose Batman for this image? Well, think about Batman for a minute. He's a superhero. He's a really popular superhero. And the thing that makes him very popular is his backstory. Without the backstory, Batman is kind of, well, he's a freak running around beating up people, and he should be in a psychiatric ward instead of a vigilante who is empowered to do that because his parents were murdered, and we as the audience can definitely sympathize with that, and feel like Batman is way more human. If you look at Superman, for example, especially the pre-1960 Superman, he was just too perfect. There wasn't even kryptonite to counter him, and he was just too perfect, which was boring. And people, executives, realized that Superman, although he's super, is not really that engaging for people. So we should come up with something to make him more vulnerable. And they came up with kryptonite, the one thing that could defeat Superman, right? And then they weaved kryptonite into many other storylines. Well, it's the same thing that you should also apply to your origin story email. Be totally okay with being vulnerable. That's a very, very powerful, thing that you could do with your audience. You don't have to share things that make you really uncomfortable, but being human, showing up as human, showing up as an imperfect human is very powerful. And that's also why, if we stick to superheroes, Tony Stark, Iron Man, was much more beloved than Captain Marvel, who was a lot of people call her like a Mary Sue character. She was just too perfect. There was nothing that's going on that she didn't have really negative qualities. So be proud of your negative qualities, and it's totally okay to also like communicate this out, or your struggles, or how you failed in the past before, because that shows that you are a real person and you're not fake. This is a very powerful concept, and nothing helps in printing like a personal story. Again, the template for this that you could use is, well, I don't have like a fill in the blanks template version for this because everyone's story is different, but generally it goes something like this. Like, these are the 8 things that you should cover. First of all, I had the same challenges as you for the longest time. I suffered because of it, which has all these negative effects. I tried to fix it, but nothing really worked. But then I discovered a secret in an unlikely place. At first, I thought the secret isn't really anything special, but then I gave it a try and I was blown away by the results. In fact, I was so impressed that I tried it with others who experienced the same. And now I feel like it's my duty to share this with the world. And that's a really, really solid origin story template that you could apply to anything, to business, weight loss. Hey, for a long time, I was grossly overweight. I suffered with it. I had high blood pressure. I had all these negative effects, and I really tried to fix it. I tried dozens of diets. I went to the gym. Nothing really worked. But then I discovered, and I also believe that, I'm a lost cause. I have bad genes. I can't lose weight. But then I discovered something else. If we go back to, like, a great example would be P90X in the 2000s. It was a fitness system, and the unique mechanism for that fitness system was called muscle confusion. And suddenly it made sense for people. It's like, oh, now I get it. The reason why I wasn't able to build muscle and lose weight is because I was doing the same things over and over again. I was lifting the same weights in the same way. I was doing the same jog every day. But now the data shows that I should confuse my muscles because that's the input, the little impulse that starts the process of burning fat. And I was so blown away by it. I tried it. I had my friends tried it as well. They also saw results with it. And now I feel like I have to share this because this is the thing that works. So this is the formula that you should be using. And a pro tip that I would give you is, and it might sound counterintuitive, but don't be afraid to make this longer. Yes, some people won't read it, but the people who do read it, you'll build a ton of bonding with them. My origin story email, which is the 3rd email, a lot of you have already probably seen this if you're on this call. It's 2,300 something words long. And at the end of the email, I even prompt people that, like, look at you. You just read a 2,300 word email from a random guy on the internet, and that's like 6 pages. So do you still think that nobody reads long copy anymore? And then I get responses to that, thing like, hey, I read it and I loved it. I loved your story. And then a few emails later, I even share some of those stories that I constantly, on a recurring basis, every single week, multiple times, I get, showing people cold hard proof that yes, the people who do read your stuff, you're going to have a much easier time eventually converting them and building a relationship then, versus being afraid that, oh, what if this is too much for someone, right? If it's too much for someone, they'll unsubscribe. That's fine. It's not. And obviously, like, there are differences between niches. In my niche, which is more like digital marketing, conversion rate optimization, copywriting, messaging, psychology, more like longer for stuff is okay. But like, I had one person sign up who was helping nurses avoid burnout or something similar. Well, in that case, probably sending a 6-page email to a nurse that's struggling with burnout is probably not the way to go. But eventually, they have to hear your story if you effectively want to convert them into your program or into your course and into your coaching offer or something. You might share it on a call, you might share it on a blog post, driving them to a link. But in my mind, what's the big difference between giving them all the meat in the email versus giving them a short form email that drives them to a blog post that gives them the whole thing, right? It's better in the email, in my opinion. So that's email number 3. Any questions regarding this? Don't be shy. Like, I'm happy to help if I can.
I'm not sure I understand Joshua's question. How can I craft an effective signature?
We're gonna talk about that in email 5 because that's a great question. But give me a few minutes and I'll answer that for you. Awesome, very helpful. Good to know. I have a really long story. Yeah, long story. And if you think about it, like, people do watch series even to this day, and they love elaborate long stories. Like, if you think about something like Better Call Saul, I don't know how many people have seen this series. It's basically a prequel to Breaking Bad. Well, in Better Call Saul, not that many things actually happen, but it's such a long and carefully articulated, beautiful story of the protagonist, Jimmy. And people still watch it, right? But you have to make sure that it's not boring. So that's another topic, that's copywriting and persuasive messaging. But the cool thing about sharing a vulnerable story using this formula is that it will automatically invoke emotions in people. And you don't have to be like a professional copywriter to make sure that this connects, because it's coming from your heart. It's real, and that's going to hit hard. So the fourth email is called Credo. And here the objective we're trying to accomplish is we want to share our beliefs that tap into their already existing beliefs. And this is becoming even more important as more and more markets are starting to become more sophisticated. When I say sophisticated, what that means is they've been exposed to more and more ads and marketing and just pitches in general. They're more skeptical than ever, and they already have certain beliefs about business, about life, about politics, about how you should or should not live your life. And the best way to, again, accelerate your process of bonding with these people is to tapping into the already existing beliefs of your ideal customer avatar. So yes, this will turn off a few people, but again, those would probably not be good fit people for you anyway, eventually. And if you look at what's happening in politics, for example, unfortunately, this is the thing that is causing certain people to be totally irrational and just blindly follow certain leaders, right? Because those leaders are validating their pre-existing beliefs. But you have to do it ethically. So here's a question. Is this the email I can get prolific? I'm not sure what you mean there exactly, Joshua. What do you mean I can get prolific? So in the meantime, this concept comes from another legendary copywriter called Gary Bencivenga. And Gary, here's a quote from him: using the creative technique is the surest way I know to attract and bond with your kindred spirits, your true believers, your most loyal comrades in arms, your best clients and friends. And always keep that in mind when you want to do effective marketing. You cannot appeal to everyone. If you want to appeal to everyone, you're going to be vanilla, and you're going to have some success. But the people who don't really resonate with you anyway, or who get triggered easily by your communication or from your emails, they're not going to do anything for you anyway, right? But the other people who would be the perfect fit clients will also not convert, because you're not really exposing who you really are. You're not really sharing your values with them. And I strongly believe that you should be doing this in your lead activation sequence, because this accelerates that know, like, and trust really, really, really well. And again, the more skeptical the market is, the more crowded the market is, the more this really matters, and the more people make buying decisions based on a belief or based on an already existing emotion versus the pure logical facts. So I don't have a formula, like a specific template for this, because this is really unique. But you could put any email here that talks about some of your beliefs, some of your values, some of the values behind your model, your mechanism. Maybe you have a unique model. Maybe you have like a signature or something, and there's a specific philosophy or vision behind it. You could also share that. And that's also the reason why a lot of big companies, the first thing they do is that they want to like create a mission statement and a vision statement, like a vision, right? They want to set the vision, the high level goals, and that ties in beautifully with this credo aspect as well.
Yeah, this could be like a manifesto for people that have done any
Absolutely.
manifesto work.
Yes, the manifesto. So there's another famous internet marketer called Rich Sheffron, and he's the guy who invented the lead magnet concept, like how we're using it. And one of his first lead magnets was called the Internet Marketing Manifesto, which talked about his manifesto and his belief in people that people should be following principal fundamentals instead of chasing the latest tactic, because that's not going to work. So some interesting trivia here. Now, so far, you put call to actions in every single one of your emails. And usually what I recommend for people to do is they put like a next step offer number 1 in these first 5 emails. If you add more emails, like I have another model called the profitable imprinting sequence, which has 10 emails, so it expands this. There you would use a next step offer number 2 for the other 5 emails. But for this really foundational one, what usually works best is that the first few emails usually optimize for engagement or for getting them to consume more stuff from you, to reply to your emails, to do something in that regard. But then this email, the 4th and the 5th, you could also plug in specific offers. If you have a course, if you have a coaching program, in the PS, for example, you can plug in something there as well. But you can also use something called the super signature. This is a special type of call to action, and you put this at the very end of the email, even after the PS. It just says, also, here are a few ways I can help you whenever you're ready. So these are for people who, like, this is just an evergreen way to give people potential entry points to other funnels, other products, other things that you have without annoying others. Because most of your email is not about this. This is at the very end of your email. You're still giving them value. But also, let's say if you have an evergreen campaign or something like that, you can show them, like you can show them a preview here of one of your core offers. They're going to notice, they're not going to buy or be interested in it, but they're going to see, okay, oh, okay. So I know that Csaba has something called Breakthrough Conversions Academy. Awesome, right? And then eventually, when I do promote Breakthrough Conversions Academy, they'll be more familiar with it, which again will help conversions later on without annoying others. So real life example, doesn't really make sense for me to show this, but there's an example in the book. And you can put anything here again that is kind of like a manifesto. And then finally, the 5th email in this series is called the reason why different and superior. This is based on a marketing principle called reason why marketing, which actually comes from this Gary Bencivenga gentleman. This is based on proof, and it's based on using a more logical side to explaining why you're different. So far, the origin story example and the Credo email, they are more emotional in a way. They appeal to emotions. This one appeals more to logic, right? This assumes a little bit that people are further on their value journey or their customer journey. And this is kind of like the signature model or your unique mechanism or your unique selling proposition that you basically expand in this email. So here, the idea is that this establishes you as different and superior compared to others, shows something that they haven't seen before, and highlights something unique to them, to you, I mean. And the reason why this is important is this Evaldo Albuquerque, he's one of the Agora, like there's this big company, they do like $2 billion at this point, Agora Financial. They do a lot of financial copywriting, and they have usually the best copywriters in the world. I don't really agree with their methods in every single case because they're too pushy. But this gentleman, Evaldo Albuquerque, said that the number 2 objection that always comes up for people, number 1 is, who are you and why should I trust you? Number 2 is, how is this different from anything else I've seen before? Why should I even spend my time, my attention consuming this, right? That's why you also have to answer this objection in this 5th email. So here, again, the call to action could be a reply, but could be a next step offer number 1. And here's a great formula that you can use for this with some subject lines. Like, a great angle for this is usually something like, why something they hope would work almost never works, why dieting almost never works, why social media marketing almost never works, or the real reason why you're struggling to generate leads. These are some great potential subject line answers for you. But what's happening here is that you tap into the problem that you're currently experiencing. You highlight past solutions that they've probably tried before. You explain the real cause of the problem and why there's a missing link. You emphasize with them, and even you might even state that it's not your fault, like they've been a lot of marketing companies use this, like you've been misled. That's why a lot of people hate big pharma and big banks and Wall Street fat cats. And there's often an enemy. You don't necessarily have to use this, but it's usually good to highlight that it wasn't necessarily their fault, that like your audience's fault, that they haven't seen results yet. They were missing something or misled. And then you highlight the real solution. That's the logic fixed for this real cause. You back things up with proof and you tie it back to your product. So we don't have that much time to spend on this, but this is a really, really nicely validated formula that works in almost every single case. And you don't have to overcomplicate this, overthink this. Just say something like, hey, I know you're struggling with generating leads. You've tried all these things before. You've tried cold emailing. You've tried social media. You've tried webinars. You've tried this and this and this. And it didn't work because the people that you got from those weren't really the right people for you anyway, right? And I know how it sucks. I also used to struggle with this. You can tie it back to your origin story if you wanted to. But the problem is you've been misled by these big 8-figure gurus, these people who have huge lists, like 1 million people on them, and they tell you that it's so easy to launch a new product. You just do this, 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 and it's gonna be, you're gonna have $1 million launch, but their situation is completely different. And the real solution for you in your case, since you're like a beginner coach, consultant, or expert, is that you focus on something else. You create like a signature mechanism, a signature workshop, which basically solves many of those problems. Don't believe me? Take a look at all these people who have had amazing success with it. Check out my, I don't know, webinar on signature workshops. And that's how you would promote it. Does it make sense? I know this might be a little bit more sophisticated, but it's really, really powerful and works really well.
Yeah, the one question was what if I don't consider myself to be superior? A lot of what I teach comes directly from my lineage of teachers. I'm not going to be superior because others in my lineage teach some of the same practices. The difference would be other training certifications and life experience that make me who I am.
Sure,
So,
that's a great question. It's not about you. It's not about you being superior. It's about your method, or the method that you teach, being superior compared to other methods your leads have tried before. So you don't have to like betray your teachers or anything like that. Not at all. Like, I'm a big fan of my own marketing and copywriting teachers. And it doesn't mean that I'm superior to them. It means the method that we both believe in is superior compared to a lot of things that people who join my list have seen before. Is that making sense, Deanna? I hope it is.
yeah, I feel like it's what makes you unique to them, or what makes you the right fit for their problem or desire that they have.
Yeah, unique is good. Unique gets attention, but they also have to feel like you're superior, or you're different in a better way, right? Because if you're just different, I can be different, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be really appealing to my ideal customer avatar. They have to feel like this solution solves the problem that I've been struggling with in a novel way, and I realize why this is a better way of solving this problem. That's the thing here. And that's the big difference between unique selling propositions and unique mechanisms. A unique selling proposition is you solving a brand new problem, something that nobody else can solve. But that's very rare, right? It's really hard to come up with something that's a genuinely new type of solution to a problem that, like, most people have problems in business, like get leads, convert leads, follow up with leads, have recurring revenue, something like that. There aren't really that many truly unique models for this. But the unique mechanism means you're still solving the same problem of how can I convert leads, but in a different way. And that's why it's way easier to sell that idea, or to get them to try that idea. Yeah, your solution is superior because it's backed by, yeah, that makes sense. New and improved. Yeah, exactly, Joshua, you're right. So there's a reason why a lot of marketing companies and agencies use this new and improved thing. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, that's it regarding the emails themselves. there are a few mistakes that a lot of people make. So first of all, trying to make their activator perfect. Don't try to do this. Doesn't have to be as good as mine was, or you don't have to like make sure that you have 90% plus open rates or something like that. Just start with version number 1, even if it's shorter version. If it's an imperfect version, it's never going to be perfect, but you're missing out on so much if you don't do this. If you deploy this with like the worst leads ever, it's not a magic bullet. Like, you still need people who are willing to like read, or who are willing to be open-minded about something, and who actually like resonate to some degree with what you do. Not having next steps in the call to action, so have some sort of next step offer or content that they consume. Being afraid to send these out daily. Oh yeah, by the way, the frequency for this should be first email goes out immediately, and then 1 email per day for these 5 emails. That's the optimal sending frequency for it. And also like not responding back to 5-star prospects who respond back to you. Those could be also like big missed opportunities. So once again, welcome email, conversation starter email, origin story, credo, and reason why different and superior. And that's it, guys. That's it.
That was awesome. That was the exact fuel of inspiration I was looking for in this workshop, of giving some really practical, tangible, here's the order, now just go write it and do it, and then pay attention to the numbers. And for all of you out there, it's like you don't have to wait for new people. If you set this up, you could send this out as a series to your existing audience
Yeah,
to see how it works.
yeah, yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have some questions, I know that Bradley has to leave soon, but if you have some questions, I want to offer you something really cool. I do this with some people who buy some of my paid products, but there's the link, like a private link to a 15-minute accelerator call. This is a short one-on-one call with me just to ask you some questions. It's not a sales call, by the way. Ask you some questions, learn more about your situation, and based on this particular presentation, give you some personalized tips on how you can get the most out of this. So if you're interested, get that. And if you're interested in another thing, that I think could serve you even better if you need like a deeper look into this, check this out. It's a unique version of my profitable imprinting sequence training. I want to give people an opportunity to get this at like a huge discount when they join my list. And since you also join this, there's no hard sell, there's no countdown timer, nothing like that. But check it out. It's just $100 if you want it. Get it.
Awesome. This is very generous, helpful, practical, grounded. I love it. I'm gonna get started on this today. I'm gonna map out some things, and any of you on the Magic Media list will be seeing that sequence coming in the next several weeks here, because this is just the inspiration I was looking for, and I think everybody else
Nice.
can concur that this was useful and helpful.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to actually do this again in a few months once you implemented that and share your results. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, if anybody does this, share your results when you roll this out for your first time. And for everybody who's in the signature workshop training with me right now, you're going to be getting hundreds or thousands of emails coming in once you start touring your signature workshop. And this is the perfect thing, that after you've done your signature workshop, you activate your nurture sequence so they can get to know you better. It's like, hey, you came to my workshop, and now here's the sequence. Let's get to know each other deeper, because I'm not just this guy that you saw for 60 minutes. There's a lot more that goes with the story.
Yeah, awesome.
Beautiful.
So I'm gonna send out the recording. Once Bradley sends it over, I'm gonna send it
Yep.
out. If you have any questions, email me. There's my email address. Consider booking that 15-minute call. It's really, really powerful. We can get a lot done there, and then check out the product if you're interested.
Do it. Book in with him. He's offering you his time. Go do it.
Awesome, guys. Thank you
Awesome,
so much
Csaba.
for
Thank you
showing
so much.
up. 47 people at the end. That's amazing.